you always dream of being able to do something like that.
For sure.
And I would definitely characterize myself as like a big dreamer.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be tough to go from dream to like actually, bringing it to life.
Of course. It's the hardest part, honestly. Yeah.
So when the opportunity came about, I was like, let's go, and it was all self-produced and like self-funded, everything. So it was a journey, but it was a blessing.
All right, y'all. Welcome to episode 16 of Vino Conversations. And today I am joined by Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Prez Harris. I'm coming out from Chicago.
Come on. We got the president in the building. Kamala maybe didn't win, but we got the real President Harris, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
So we got water on set today. The first time I will not be doing a cheers. We will instead do a little fist bump.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, appreciate
but
you.
we will do a water tasting. And if you don't know, cheersing water is bad luck, so we do not do that. But we absolutely got to stay hydrated. So let's give it a little. 100%. You know what I'm saying? It's good water, bro. pH water is smooth. It's crisp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Very balanced.
Yeah. You can't beat it.
Listen, what's some of your favorite waters? As someone who also doesn't drink, I'm sure you're much a water connoisseur.
Yeah. I pretty much just drink water or like cranberry juice.
Got you.
That's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty basic with it, to be honest. I'm not like
Voss, Saratoga sparkling.
I ain't bougie with it at all. Like, I'm not gonna drink tap water, but I think that's a Chicago.
In New York, we drink tap water though.
I know y'all
it's
do
clean out here, bro. It's good. Nah, you should. Is it not valid? Y'all don't drink it? Yeah, come on, bro. What?
Yeah, see, that's the Chicago
in New
thing.
York.
You ain't drinking in Chicago. So,
yeah, heard you.
It's different, but put it through the filter.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My favorite water is probably San Pellegrino. I like sparkling. San Pellegrino, fire. Saratoga, I liked before the virality. I just have to say, Saratoga's fire. Like a good Voss. What I don't like, though, Dasani and Aquafina are just some of the worst waters out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that shit is just, a little bit tragic.
Dasani is terrible.
A little bit terrible, for sure, bro. But once again, thank you for coming on. Very excited for this conversation. And the first rapper on Vino Conversations as well. So love that, bro. Because I do love hip-hop as much as I do love R&B, even though I much more talk about the R&B. But you mentioned that you're from Chicago. Yeah. So put us on, bro. Tell us about Chicago, what it was like for you growing up, and then some of your musical influences out there as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Let me start with the disclaimer though, because I'm from just west of Chicago.
Okay.
So I'm from a city called Maywood.
Maywood.
And if you're from Chicago, you like, all right, yeah, Maywood is, as y'all say, valid, right?
Valid. Okay, got you.
But some people gonna trip.
It's not straight up Chicago.
It's not straight.
That's good clarification though, because I would have ran with it. I don't know nothing out there, bro.
I could have, people who not from there would have been like, cool,
Got you. So Maywood, Illinois.
Yeah, I'll put that out there. So I grew up there, and it was smooth. Ended up going to college up there and then just stuck around afterwards.
Cool.
So,
what school was that?
I went to Northwestern.
Northwestern. Oh, it's a great university out there.
Yeah.
Fire, bro.
Yeah.
And then what was it like growing up? What's the city of Chicago? Or I guess Maywood and Chicago. So in Maywood, do people go to Chicago a lot? Yeah. It's like you experienced Chicago growing up?
So I grew up, it's probably about 15 minutes from the city.
Oh, okay. So it's not even like saying Long Island in New York. It's even closer.
No, it's close.
Okay, I got you.
Even closer like to the outskirts.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like West Side, if anything. So
okay.
With Chicago, you hear people talk about like West Side, South Side.
Yeah, that's where Saab was from West Side, right?
From West Side, yeah. So like from that area, it's probably like 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
That,
Okay, got you.
But it is a little bit further. I was considered a suburb.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, it was really just me and my family. I got my parents and my sister. So
got you.
It was a lot of time with them.
Wow.
But we was mainly in the suburbs. But we would go to the city.
Yeah.
I'm a big Bulls fan. So
okay.
we would go watch the games and White Sox.
Yeah. Okay, Chicago sports. Bulls did not have a great season, bro. What's your thoughts on that?
Man.
Because you're a big Hooper fan, right?
Yeah. I'm a big Hoops fan. But I mean, I've come to expect it with them.
Yeah. It's not the Jordan era anymore.
No. See, we need to get rid of the people that was over them at the same time as the Jordan era because they're not
transitioning right.
To be honest, back then they wasn't doing the right things, but they at least
they just had MJ, so they lucked out with
Mike,
that.
Then you ain't gotta do much.
Yeah,
but we gotta make a change in the front office.
Yeah, got you. I'm a Knicks fan. Big 3-1 win today. Got a little Knicks Kith collab on. Listen, we packing up Detroit.
Yeah,
I think so. Little Caesars Arena, terrible name because we got the better pizza anyway. I don't want to hear none of that, bro.
I don't know. Better than Detroit, maybe, but Chicago, y'all can't.
We can get into it, bro. That shit is lasagna,
bro. What?
It is lasagna. It's just like a wet mush. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't know how it's pizza. That's more my thing. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't know if it's pizza.
It is. It is pizza because it's got all the same elements. But deep dish, I'll say this, while it's good and it's better than New York, most people there don't even eat deep dish. Like, we be eating like regular thin crust or whatever. Yeah. But we ain't gonna eat it that thin. Like, we ain't folding pizza. Like,
so I personally don't fold it. That's one local thing I don't understand. I don't know why I feel like it ruins the bread on the bite. Like, there's you want the cheese on the top and like. For sure. That's interesting.
It's a little too thin for me. Yeah. But hey, if y'all rock with it, good.
100%. And then what was some of the music that you heard growing up in Maywood? What were the kind of those influences by genre, different artists? And how did that start to kind of shape this sound that eventually became what you make as Prez Harris?
What's interesting is I didn't get into the like regional aspect of music probably till about high school.
Okay.
I definitely had an understanding, Kanye, Twisting everybody.
Common,
exactly, who was kind of the premier in terms of hip hop from Chicago when I was coming up. But my dad's a pastor. So we was listening to gospel.
Oh, you got that.
We was listening to old school stuff. My mom playing Whitney,
Fire.
Luther Vandross, all that. So that was the stuff that I was influenced by as a shorty. And then once I got to like high school, then it was like, all right, now we seeing Chance and we seeing Spenzo and we seeing I'm blanking on all it. Chief Keef on the album.
Yeah, Chief Keef for sure.
Lil Durk, all that stuff. So that's when all of that started to pop off and I truly started to understand regional hip hop. Because I liked everything. I'm a big fan of like West Coast hip hop.
Me too. West Coast could be going crazy, bro. Their beats are infectious too.
Crazy, bro. It's just a vibe. You just 100%.
The little vibe to it, fire for sure.
And then New York too. The whole sexy drill movement. I be listening to that and everything. So I'm a big fan of like how things are regional now and those sounds and everything. So yeah,
I gotta shout out Chicago too, because y'all have some incredible artists, bro. 100%. Saba's been one of my favorites. No Name's been going crazy. Smino, Midwest, not Chicago, but just even that little area and that hub of artists, bro.
He came up from
phenomenal. There. So I feel like he is a Chicago artist in some ways. Of course, he's from St. Louis and reps it. For sure. Is Raven Lene from out there too?
Yeah.
Raven Lene. Is Ombre from out there too?
I
don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know, but Chicago, she's not from out there? Okay, bet. But Chicago just has a lot of dope Chance, as you mentioned, too. So it's a really, really good music scene, honestly. Not to mention everybody else, like Chief Keef and that the drill scene. So Chicago makes some great music, bro.
Chicago is so diverse in terms of the sound.
That's a fact.
And I think sometimes it can limit us a little bit, but you'll go there and you'll meet people from the same places in Chicago. So same perspective, but completely different sound. Completely different way that they portray that in the music. So it's truly incredible. The creativity that comes from Chicago.
To have, Saba and then G Herbo, No Name then Lil Durk. I think that's like perfect examples of that.
100%.
That's really, really cool, bro.
100%.
So when did you realize, okay, I'm more than just somebody who can rap around with my friends, spit some bars at the lunch table, but I can actually like create music, go into a studio and pursue this as a professional career? When did you start to realize like this can be me for real?
Yeah. I think I always thought of the possibility of it.
Okay, so it was always in your head.
Yeah, it was always in my head. Even in high school, we was doing stuff just out of being bored. We had time. I went to boarding school for high school. So we was like, okay. Yeah, we just was
Where was that
dorm,
at?
Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah. So we was in a dorm. It's a town where you got a McDonald's, a Piggly Wiggly, which is like a grocery store.
Piggly Wiggly. What's going on out there?
Crazy,
what is a Piggly Wiggly?
Crazy, bro. It's like I don't even know what type of grocery store it could compare to, but it's like something like a Jewel's in Chicago, or I don't know what.
Is it like convenience store, gas station vibes? It's like Wawa in Jersey and Philly kind of thing.
It's like a grocery store,
but it's like a grocery store. Okay, Wiggly, Piggly.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So you got that name. And a movie theater and a McDonald's. So we ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah.
So we sitting there and we like just being creative. We start rapping and everything.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, it was probably about 6 or 7 of us that was okay.
Okay.
we wasn't, like, if we listened to it, it was trash.
Yeah.
But we had some potential.
Yeah.
And so we always thought about, like, if we was able to do this at a high level. And then I think college was when I really locked in and was like, I think I could do this for real.
That's fire.
Yeah.
And did you start recording in college, or was that more just playing around with the idea of it?
So we was recording in high school.
Okay. Did you go to like a musical high school?
Nah.
It wasn't. This was just the vibes. That was separate from the education. Okay.
So we was just on some like let's just do something with our time.
Is this or Wiggly Piggly? So
man, bro, exactly. And it was crazy because I look back and I'm like, it was just terrible. Like we had
that's
like,
so funny.
The first song I ever recorded was on a webcam mic.
A webcam mic.
Plugged it in USB.
Out the gutter, bro.
Just holding it. It's like recording it. And so, you know, just the progression of it all is cool to think about.
That's super dope. And then you got actually into real studios in college?
Yeah.
Okay, what was that experience like for you, being able to have access to that level of equipment rather than just...
Man, it was game changing.
It's got to be.
It was game changing. Walked in and was like, this is where I need to be. You know, and I wish I did it even more at that time.
Yeah.
I ended up having my own home set up.
Okay.
So I learned a lot about engineering. I learned a lot about recording spaces and everything. So first project, recorded in the dorm.
Wow.
Like mic in the little closet.
Yeah.
You know, towels around it and all that stuff.
Bro, that's how Alicia Keys did her first music. That's what she said, up on Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan where she grew up in New York.
Sheesh.
Yeah. That's fire, bro. It's really, really dope. And what is it like being in the studio with you? Because I've heard from different artists, some people like to bring all the homies, mob out, drinks are flowing, like the energy's high to really hype up the energy. Some people like to be super isolated by themselves just with the engineer. What's kind of like your studio energy when you record?
It's both.
Yeah.
You know, I would say my music is diverse, and so I think the environment is also diverse.
Right.
Because I like both. I like being isolated and being by myself and being able to think through and just create. But I like vibes. You know, I like having a space where we all having fun and, you know, enjoying it. So I think the high energy songs will come from those sessions.
Okay, that's cool.
But those like introspective, just you know, reflective songs, they'll come from the isolation.
That's dope, bro. It's really, really cool. More to come would be one of those. That's probably my favorite song by you. I was just listening to that on the way in, bro.
Yeah,
fire.
I appreciate it.
Fire. A lot of relatable lyrics in that one.
That definitely came from just like, you know, me reflecting, because that was right after tour.
Right, which I got to ask you about too. Yeah.
So I'm reflecting, just thinking about like everything that, I mean, everything God brought me through. And I'm just like, we gonna keep going with this.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, speaking about tour, we might as well just get into that, bro. What was that like?
It was an incredible experience, man. It was incredible because it was like, you always dream of being able to do something like that.
For sure.
And I would definitely characterize myself as like a big dreamer.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be tough to go from dream to like actually, you know, bringing it to life.
Of course. It's the hardest part, honestly. Yeah.
So when the opportunity came about, I was like, let's go, you know, and it was all self-produced and like self-funded, everything. So it was a journey, but you know, it was a blessing. So
that's dope, man.
Enjoyed it.
And what cities did you go on? What were some really memorable experiences?
So I went to, obviously we did Chicago.
Got to.
I did Milwaukee twice. So the first show was in
Big
Milwaukee.
Wisconsin.
Man, crazy, bro. First show was in Milwaukee and it was so good. They was like, we got to have you back.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's tough.
So we did that twice. We did LA, New York, Atlanta, and then we did Toronto.
Fire. So, how was the 6?
Man, that was probably my favorite show.
Yeah.
That was my favorite because I had never been there before.
To Canada in general?
Never, bro.
Wow.
So I went there and it was just so much love.
Yeah.
And, you know, people just engaging with the music.
That's fire.
And the dope part about the tour was like, it gave me a chance to explain the message beyond the music.
Yep.
So you get to engage with the crowd, but also we had the merch.
Yeah.
You know, we had shirts that saying, don't give up, you know, and people get to, you know, engage with it in that form and everything. So it was cool to bring it to life in multiple forms beyond just audio.
That's really, really cool. And how does one, I mean, just, you know, for the up and coming artists out there, even know when it is time to be able to go on tour? Like, were you approached with the idea? Did you think of it first? Like, how did that all kind of come together, especially with it being self-produced?
Yeah. So I was blessed to be able to connect with a company where they have these shows all across the country.
Okay. Gotcha.
And other countries too.
Yeah.
So
fire.
globally. And so once I got connected with them and I realized what they were doing, it was just a matter of me having the initiative to say, I'm going to set it up in all these places and just connect it.
Yeah.
You know? So really it was like individual shows that I was doing in these.
Yeah.
But I just connected it at the same time and then put it on the flyer and then, you know, packaged it as a tour.
That's cool. That's kind of what I'm doing with my my event series actually too. So I'm doing a few in New York, LA, Philly. Okay. And I did like a joking kind of intro video with my girl. Like, yo, I'm going on tour. She's like, is that a tour? It's only 3 cities. And so I called like, is it a tour?
Yeah.
But I'm like, fuck it. I think it is, bro. I think it
come
is.
to Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, I need to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
So after this, we got to talk about venues I could have it at. Because I was in there, summertime show. I was like, I need to bring Vino Friday to Chicago, bro.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen eventually. I don't know when, but I'm going to make it happen. So we got to tap into some spots,
We'll have to do it soon.
Yeah. That's fire. That's fire. That's really dope, bro. And then going back to Chicago as well, what are some similarities you see between it and New York? Because I think it is a great city that does have some comparisons.
Yeah, I'm biased, but I think it's the best city. And so
it is a good one. It's a good one.
But, I think that there are similarities.
Yeah.
I think both just like have their own unique cultures and feel to it. But major cities and like, I feel like every city got their like stereotypes.
Yeah.
So like you'll come to New York and you'll like really be in like people that's like
yeah.
New York people and the vibes and all that stuff. So Chicago has that too. So,
for sure.
You definitely have a culture there that's unique to it. Great food. I think, both places got great food.
Yeah.
I think we got y'all beat a little bit, but it's both.
I don't know about all that. But y'all do have some good food.
Yeah.
Beautiful architecture, I gotta say.
Yeah, beautiful architecture.
Yeah.
I think in the summer, like you can't beat it.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
A lively place. I think both places are very lively.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree too. Even from like a skyline view comparison, I feel like New York has no competition, but if you look at the skyline, Chicago's definitely second place. Because I remember growing up coming to New York and because I grew up in upstate a few hours away, but I've been visiting since I was like 10. Because my sister started going to Columbia when I was little. So this became my home away from home. And then obviously now my full-time home. And going to a city like that so young and being like your main other place, I go to every other city, look at the skyline, and I'm just like super underwhelmed. But Chicago's is valid. And I don't say that about most cities, bro. So I got to give y'all that. For sure.
I'll take that. I mean, the skyline, y'all might have it.
Definitely. But flipping back into the music, I decided to get that Chicago point out. How did you come up with the persona of President Harris? Like, where does that come from? And how did you decide to commit to the branding so, like, intentionally? Because I was like, is he going to pull up in a suit?
Yeah.
He pulled up in a suit. Videos in a suit. Like, you got, hold on, bro. We got the Prez Harris right here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so how did that all come together?
I think it's been steps to it.
Yeah.
So it started because when I was in high school, I was class president.
Oh, okay.
And so my Twitter handle was President Harris back then.
Okay, you been had it. You got it early,
bro.
Smart.
I had it like when Instagram first started. I hopped on there, got for President Harris.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's actually nuts.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's wild.
So been locked in with that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how do I translate that to
music?
How do I create a name from that?
And
President was too long. So
Prez
Harris. But it formed over time. When I started, it was a lot of like political commentary in my music. So
that makes sense.
It was definitely more, or maybe not even political, but just conscious.
Yeah, social impact, all that kind of stuff for sure.
I definitely talked about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's drifted from that, but the brand has remained solid because I think of it as an opportunity to kind of be somebody that, especially in this political climate, somebody that can represent like a president. You know what I mean? Like,
that's real.
Somebody that relates to your experiences and cares about people, not just 100%. Themselves. So
that's super dope. And how do you feel like that persona reflects itself in the music that you make? Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is shown in the branding, but I think the music piece is just the relatability.
Right.
So it's funny that you asked that. So we dropped Hourglass. And then we came back with the deluxe.
I was just about to ask about that too. Yeah.
And then we had election night. But it really was just like, it was very timely.
Yeah.
So we had to, jump on that.
Yeah.
That's when the president persona really came about.
Oh, right, because you dropped it. Did you drop it on election night? But it was right around. It was November 2024, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So it was right there, facts.
And I mean, I don't know if I've said this publicly or not, but the album is going to be called The Inauguration.
The Inauguration. Breaking news on Vino Conversations. Come on. The Inauguration. I love it. That's fire.
We felt like there was more story to tell between Hourglass and election night.
Yeah.
So that's what people going to get first.
Okay.
On the road to the inauguration.
The inauguration.
So, like, you see me,
I like the names and the steps. Reminds me of like the Kanye, the college dropout, late registration, graduation. Like, that's fire.
I appreciate
That's really cool, bro.
So you get to see like the different pieces to Prez. Like, but Hourglass, you got me like question if I should even still do this.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's too late.
Yeah.
And then election night, I'm ready to be president.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we're going to take a step away from that, from the music perspective, to tell the story of how you become that candidate.
That's really cool.
And then we're going to get back to the president. And I'm thinking about being a little bit more political in that commentary for the album and everything.
That's fire. So, and where would that, I guess, political view come from? Is that from growing up around Chicago, the things you've seen, how you grew up and everything?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is my view or the people
around you?
Me view.
Yeah. That's super dope.
And I mean, there is some perspective that I see from people that maybe I don't know or like in the world that may not be direct relation to me. But it's all from, my inner thoughts. Yeah.
And I feel like Chicago's a city that really takes that on, despite what might be going on in the drill scene. But to your point, it shows the diversity of the city. I feel like when you think about No Name, super political music. Saba's definitely been political in his music. Smino, I know he's not from there, but came through that area. Chance definitely was at some point. Obviously, early Kanye, Common's career. So to me, from the outside looking in, when I think of Chicago, I definitely feel that energy. And not just that energy, but also the soulfulness. And there's the soulfulness in your music, whether it's the production or some of the R&B vocals for the features that you have. So 100%. I feel like whether you know that or not, like you sound like Chicago to me actually when I hear your music.
I appreciate that. It's definitely intentional. I think when I go in with my engineer, we're like, we got to be true to us in Chicago. Whether we like it or not, we represent it. You know what I mean? Wherever we go, they're going to attach it to Chicago artists. So we want to represent it well. For
sure. And then speaking of, again, Hourglass and Election Night. So you dropped the deluxe Hourglass last year, 2024, as well as Election Night right before the new year came in. What was kind of like the emotional vibes in creating those projects? Because art is so personal and music even more personal than any other form of art because of the way that you express it. So what was kind of the emotional experience in laying the, pen to paper and getting that out?
Well, it goes back to the OG Hourglass. So that came in the pandemic.
2022?
So it came in 2022, but 2020 was when I really started working on it.
Oh, okay. Because it came out of that. Okay, wow.
And at that time, it was like, should I even do this anymore? I've been making music somewhat passively, just dropping songs every now and then. And it would get good response, but I wouldn't market it well, do all these different things.
So it was like an energy shift.
Yeah. And so it was like, all right, we gonna do this. And it was just writing about that inner conflict of like, I'm comparing myself to people. I feel like I'm, behind, I'm delayed, everything. And then learning, okay, well, comparison is the thief of joy.
That's a fact.
And so if we, if we not being intentional on walking in our purpose, then what are we doing it for? And so gaining that alignment there and, gaining alignment with God in terms of my assignment and whatnot. That was a big piece of that. So then after Hourglass, we do the tour and everything. So now Hourglass Deluxe is like, I'm here. You know what I mean? So it's like I've done this and proved that, this is what God's calling me to do. Let me keep, going at it. So that's where you get more to come. That's where you tell you about it. And it's like, let me tell you what's been going on.
I love that.
Those was the emotions in those songs. And then you get into Election Night where it's like you forming into this candidate of like same emotions, like I'm here, but how do we translate this into being there? So that's fire. Election night.
And I'm glad you brought up the comparison thing because I just had on this R&B girl. Her name is Safa. I'll put you on to her, super dope artist. But I asked her like, what has been your relationship with comparison, especially in the age of social media and especially in music, which again is so public, is so personal. And you're seeing different people might have different concert placements, festivals, or they got this many streams, or they got this playlist thing. So what has been your relationship with that? It's amazing to hear that you've gained the proper alignment, knowing that you're in your purpose, you have your own journey. But kind of what was that journey to get to where you are now and getting over the comparison thing and being able to just be tunnel vision, like this is my journey and I'm gonna have to just quiet out the noise?
First and foremost, there's a lot of prayer, a lot of just, trying to gain clarity on what that is. But second, it was writing it out. Hourglass came out of that, of just me trying to figure it out, get out the emotions. I have a song called Wrong Side where it's like, I'm talking from where I want to be. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even there yet. So manifesting, So all that stuff. So I think it's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But also just having true joy for everybody.
Yeah, that's real, bro.
When
Spread
people,
love.
Yeah. When people win and they doing what they supposed to do, be happy for them. Because you may see somebody's outcome, but you don't know their process.
That's a fact.
You know
That's the biggest fact. Like,
And so you might not be doing what they supposed to be doing, or you might not be doing what they've done.
Yeah.
Like maybe like working as hard or putting the time in. You also might not supposed to be doing what they did. They might have did something that they shouldn't have.
That's real too.
You just got to be happy for people and what they got and just walking your purpose. And I think that came from taking time to reflect and pray on it.
That's fine. I think what people forget too, I say, is like, it's not logical for everybody to have the same journey, Like, think about how many different factors go into who you are as a person, how many factors go around you in your career from, like, there's just so many different things that first off, you have to know, people don't know about me, which means you don't know about them. So on what earth could any two people in life in general have the same path? So I think once you kind of go from a very logical place, it's like, no one is going to be the same as me. I'm just going to be in mine. Because, I work in media, I do events. I could look at Everyday People, which is the biggest event in the world. It's been around for like 15 years or Selection. What is the point in any comparison to that level? Or just because somebody at the same time got this placement, like, bro, everybody's journey is just completely their own. And I feel like the faster people realize it, in whatever they do, even let's just say dating and the speed of a relationship, like everything's just going to be its own thing, and you have to be like comfortable with that.
100%.
And I think that's the other thing too, is that people don't know it is going to be different. So you have to be able to brace yourself for something that no one else has been through. But the more that you can kind of just live within that fact, I think the more free you are kind of in the journey. So.
But I think there is too, even within what you're saying, a healthy comparison.
That is true too. Yeah, there can be.
You could look at Everyday People and be like, what did they do?
Facts, exactly. You can be inspired by it, and like, it doesn't have to, but I think a lot of people, especially, in this generation, it comes with a lot of anxiety, insecurity. Oh, why aren't I? It's from a lack of gratitude, lack of why am I not there? And I think that's what it turns into, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but no, congrats on everything, obviously, that you've been through so far, but what have been like some of the challenges that people might not know about in terms of embracing this music career? Because there's definitely a lot behind the scenes people don't know about making music.
And I try to be vulnerable around the challenges. But there's a lot more than people see. There's definitely the work aspect to it. It can be tough.
And you're balancing too, right?
So balancing. I'm blessed that I have a team now. That wasn't always the case.
Shout out Maya.
Shout out Maya. Shout out Jordan.
Shout out Jordan.
And everybody. So many people support and help that may not officially be part of a team, but having mentors, having just friends that just show up. They just support. So shout out everybody. But the work aspect of it, like you said, balancing having work and then going and working on music and then going and working on the business. You know what I mean? It can be tough to go from you having the skill and creating, and it gets to a point where now you have to work on what you have
the marketing
created,
of it and everything.
So it's tough to balance all these different things with all these hats. And I would say that's kind of the main challenge.
Balancing.
Obviously, funding is always a challenge.
Studio time ain't free.
All the stuff costs money.
For sure.
Yeah.
But as long as you're feeling good and confident in it, you know what I'm saying? No, that's super, super dope. So I want to transition into get some of your takes on music in general.
For sure.
So I think that we're kind of in a very interesting place, both in hip hop and R&B music overall, in terms of like the quality level. Some people think it's really high. Some people think it's completely fallen off due to things like TikTok. I think personally, you can find what's out there and curate your own kind of amazing musical sound across genres. But I think at the highest level, people do feel like maybe music is tilting in a negative direction. Then there's the whole technology aspect with AI being involved. So kind of curious on your thoughts on the state of music, whether you want to be specifically rap or all music in general, and then also your take on AI being used for, creating music.
It's a good question. I think I would start with like, how do you define the quality of music? You know what I mean?
That right there. Right there.
I think there's a lot, like you said, a lot of people that are making high quality music from maybe like a technical standpoint or, in terms of like production, or, you know, their vocals are really good. So I think that there's a lot of like high quality music. And I think a lot of it is just, does it resonate with you?
Yeah.
Because there's some songs like I'll listen to that was crazy in high school. Like
Yeah.
we was running back, or in college, we was playing all the time. But I'm just like, this song not really that good. You know what I mean?
Some stuff does not age well.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So I think quality can have relation to like, one, how it resonates, but also just like the time period you in, you know, and then some stuff grows on you.
Yeah.
So all that to say, I do think the quality is worse now.
Yeah.
But
okay.
like,
yeah,
you know,
here we go. Listen, this is a politician right here. He had to slowly get you to the thing.
For sure.
You can't just say off rip. You feel me? I see you, bro. Listen, Prez Harris.
But you know, I don't know why. That's something I try to think about, but it's just, I don't know if it's because it's so microwave and like there has to be so much more quantity that the quality has suffered as a result. But something about it doesn't feel the same from like the high levels. But I think also the people that we consider high level have been high level for a long time. Yeah. So it might just be a different time period. We need some new people at that level. Yeah,
I think that gets into, if we're going to keep it within rap, like the whole big three thing. If you think about how long they've been dominant, I'd say when did Best I Ever Had come out? 2009?
2009.
So he's been going off since then. Kendrick dropped Section 80 like 2011.
Yeah.
Right? Good Kid, Mad City. He was crazy after that. I think J. Cole dropped Sideline Story was the name of the album?
Yeah, I think that was 2009, 2010.
Yeah. So it's been like a 15-year run for all three of them.
100%.
And in that time, you're kind of looking at this next crop of rappers who was going to form into that. Travis kind of went a little left field because he's more melodic. Lil Baby was on the rise, but then I can feel like the major label kind of genericness hit him.
Yeah.
And I think he has a talent, but he didn't get to what we thought. Roddy Ricch, you remember? He had the presidential thing actually too, that one song, The Box. He was going crazy in 2020. And then that kind of, I don't like saying people fell off. I think that's disrespectful, but I think people are saying now, like, how do you form a rap superstar in 2025?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. It's just different. Yeah.
I think if I had to guess, I think it comes down to fandom. I think the people that are kind of in that space. I think about Tyler.
So he'd be the one good shout that I feel like, but even then he's still a little left because Igor wasn't even a rap album. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to, and some people say that's his best work. So he's an interesting.
I feel like that Call Me If You Get Lost.
Yeah, you think so? He went crazy on that
too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we talk about quality, that goes back to it. He has the quality. Technical and more like sound with the music. His music, musicology just grew. Yeah. So I think that plays a role in the quality of music. And I think some artists probably just don't push themselves to be great anymore.
I think that's real.
As much as, previous ones did.
Yeah. And I think too, there's a lack of musical exploration from a lot of people, which I think all of this goes into the music business and how they're pushing the artists to sound a certain way, drop certain hits. Especially like, as you hear new little, how rap, I feel like every 3 years, there's like a new type of popular sound. Yeah. Like it went from like the trap to the aggressive drill. Then you had the sexy drill. But then also there was like the Jersey Club, Philly Club vibe. Yeah. If you notice people, especially on major labels, they'll have one or two songs that have to hit whatever's like the hot sound. For sure. But that's not the artist actually controlling their journey at all. And I feel like that's probably getting worse. Yeah. And they're trying to build up random viral stars faster to turn into something that they're not. Yeah. They had a moment, not a career. Yep. And I think they're trying to make careers out of people that probably don't even love music like that. Yeah. And respect to you, if you hit a lick, made a million, got your family out the hood, that's amazing. You can move into business, whatever. For sure. But I think labels need to pour into the musicians more. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that's lacking. Because Saba is unbelievable, and I feel like he could be a much bigger rapper. And he has a song on Care For Me, which I think just turned like 7 or 8 years old, called Gray, where he talks about like, the single's the one that wasn't as honest, but that's the one that made you the hottest, the best song was probably on the demo, but that's not what got you the limo, and I thought that was just such a great way of breaking down the industry. So I think that's like severely lacking right now from a business standpoint. Yeah.
It would take somebody to just honestly go against the music business. Yeah. Like somebody would have to rise to the top of a label and say, we're not going to go in the traditional route, because the thing about it is they don't have to. Yeah. Like they're at a point where all that they care about is market sharing. Yeah. And so whoever is hot, they got the market share. And they just want to grab that, add it to the catalog.
Yeah.
And there's really no incentive to like take this artist, build them up, and like put all their resources behind it.
Yep.
Because it might not go. And it's just an unfortunate thing of like TikTok will pick up a song that is not that good, or artist, you know, that is like not developed. Yeah. But it's a sure shot. Yep. You put some money behind it, it's gonna go. And we'll make a little something. We got the market share. Yeah. If they do something else, great. If not, we got paid.
Yeah. But you got to think of it too from a long-term investment. That's what they're lacking. Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, you're in finance, so you know the difference between long-term investing versus little options and quick calls and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of what it is, because you're going or betting on a game like it's these quick little things. There's no like longer vision of what the return on investment could be later. Yeah. Because you think about the value of Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole's catalogs. If you didn't invest in it from the beginning, you don't have this. I don't even want to know what number it'd be worth. Yeah, ridiculous. But you can't get there without the longer term vision. You know, other than like you said, just this microwave mentality.
But the crazy thing is they can buy it now.
Yeah.
So all these artists that are selling their publishing, they're just buying it. You know, they're like, oh, it's nuts. Yeah. We'll get the people that's short term. Yep. Get that market share. But also, if someone's already built up, we didn't have to build them up. We'll just go pay them and then get paid from it. So it would take somebody that just is like, we're not going to go that route. Yeah. Do it like this.
For sure.
And then they might be wrong. But, you know, I think that it would lead to better music.
Yeah. So for me, again, I think it's really the business side of things. There is some amazing talent. And another point I was going to make as well is the way we consume has completely changed. Yeah. I was talking with the other artists as well, was about like 106 and Park in the radio, things like that used to kind of shape what is the mainstream. Sure. What is the mainstream now, aside from maybe social media, I guess would be. But even then, it's kind of scattered through even meme culture. Like that's the reason What the Hell is a popular song, is memes essentially, right? So like, how do you what even is the mainstream? Because we all consume, and all the artists are now so much more direct to the fans, and it's much more segmented as well because there's also more options to choose from. Yeah. So I think that's completely changed how you build up a superstar, but just as a fan, how you consume and find music. And you also have Spotify, the algorithm, which goes crazy. Yeah. You have, you know, YouTube and all these other things, and there's no radio shows that people are daily listening to, really. Yeah. There's no TV that's really talking about it. There's no music pod that's just about picking the songs that everyone goes to, the way you had 106 and Park. Yeah. So I think that kind of scatters it as well. Yeah. And I think that's definitely changed a lot too.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Even in the creation of the music too.
Oh, for sure.
Like I was talking to one of my friends, or it might have been Jordan, it might have been my manager, and we were just like, we can't even make no 4-minute songs no more.
I was gonna talk about that too. That's like, a fact. Everything be 150, 210. Like,
it's insane, bro. Yeah. Like, and I love music. Like, I love having instrumentals and, you know, vocals, and just like, if you listen to my like older music, it was 4 minutes, 5 minutes. My first song ever was like 5 minutes. Yeah. Just 3 verses rapping. And then now I'm like, hook verse hook, and you know, we gone. Yeah. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I guess, how do you handle that as an artist, knowing how to adapt to the times, doing what you have to do, but also knowing that you just want to create? Yeah.
I'm trying to think what a good analogy for it is. It's kind of like you want to be able to have the full freedom and like control. Yeah. But there are boundaries within it. You know what I mean? Like, what's an example? Like, this is probably a stupid one, but like, you can't sell one egg. You know what I mean? Eggs come as
a dozen.
Right. So you just there's certain rules and limits of, if you want to play the game, you have to abide by it. Yeah. And so if someone wants to make a 5-minute song, great. Yeah. It just might not be something that everybody in the world finna rock with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Makes sense. Yeah. Got you. Back into the tech, 2 other questions I had was, one, your thoughts on the new ways that people can connect directly to fans. Outside of even like Spotify, there's now ways you can monetize. Like I'm selling my album for $2 because we obviously know how little people get paid from streams, and people are now using even like blockchain to try to connect with fans. So I'm curious your thoughts on like these new apps that are being developed, these new websites. I think J. Cole dropped some stuff on Even it might be. So thoughts on that kind of connection to fans and how that's completely changing, which I think can disrupt the labels, especially if the big artists leave and do stuff like that. And then your thoughts on AI as well in creation.
I mean, shout out to Even. We just got tapped in with them.
Oh, fire. That's dope, bro.
Yeah, through United Masters. So we're going to start seeing what that looks like.
Okay, cool.
You know, they got different strategies and everything, so we're going to tap into that.
That's dope.
It's definitely an age where you got to build a business around it.
Yep.
And we going direct to fan. So we working on what does that look like and engaging and building a community. And then really just marketing and like generating revenue from that space.
That's cool.
So that's something that we're definitely focused on
Fire.
At this point. In terms of AI, I haven't really done too much with it.
Yeah.
I think the most AI we've done is like in marketing or strategizing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So some of the Chat GPT stuff, United Masters got an AI blueprint.
Cool.
Where they have all your data and everything. So you can type in, hey, who should I be targeting? And they're telling you, like, hey, you should do this. You could use these platforms and do something like this.
That's really cool. I didn't know about that. That's the first I've heard about that, actually.
Yeah,
that's
so
dope.
it's cool. We'll use that when we like roll out music and see which platforms, see which playlists we should submit to on, you know, whatever platforms and whatnot. So that one's really cool. But I haven't done too much in terms of creation. I always have been intentional about writing my own lyrics. Yeah. So I've never really been.
No AI raps?
Nah.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I don't even like other people writing.
Let alone a robot.
And stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm just now getting to a place where I feel a little more comfortable with songwriters. But I don't see myself using no AI writing.
That's good.
Maybe like some AI production type stuff, but I have no clue what that looks like.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like it could make sense in terms of like the editing process, like the manual labor that somebody would have done to cut an empty gap, like little things that speed it up.
Yeah.
I think that can make sense. But once you start using it for, like you said, the lyrics, the actual sound, what you're emotionally expressing, like it's one of the great forms of human expression, if not the form, you know, because you have this, you have art, you have dance, whatever.
Absolutely.
To start having that now be dictated by not humans, we're like losing grip on our existence almost. I think it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's insane. So, probably not.
Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on it being used in a rap battle? Or even just, not even like the rap battle necessarily, but just big artists starting to tap in with it. I think Playboy Cardi, they said, was using it. I think they said Kanye was using it. Like, do you think it's going to go that direction? Do you think we'll have the guardrails to stop it? Or
they were using it for like lyrics and stuff?
I believe so.
Gotcha.
Or whole songs. Some people said on the last, I didn't listen to the Cardi album, but that some of the songs, like there's a couple like, I think those are AI. And then it's like, how do you verify that? Maybe they'll create a business around verifying what's real, what's not. I don't know how that would technologically work, but it seems like it's starting to really affect, you know, some of the bigger artists even.
Yeah, they got a lot of like word content like that or software programs that you can detect from the words itself.
Oh, really? Wow.
If it's AI or human.
Yeah.
Even to the percentage.
Wow.
They can be like, this was 70% AI, you know.
Wow, I did not know that. That's cool.
So they got some stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know artists was using it for
for
AI.
Sure. Yeah. And there's, I'm sure, plenty using it that we just don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you already make some pretty standard generic music that it sounds like AI, if you use it, we don't know any better. Like, so.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it entered into the world and people became okay with it. Yeah. I think it's kind of similar to like ghostwriting. Like, I think it entered into the world and like some people are okay with it, some people are not. Yeah. But the song hot, like, it's hot. You know what I mean? I remember when we was in Toronto for tour, we went to the club and they played that like Weekend Drake AI song.
I have never heard of that.
You never heard that? No. It was going crazy.
That's some Toronto shit because I've never,
Bro, it was going crazy everywhere. It was going crazy on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I heard this.
For like a few weeks. And then they had to get bro to take it down.
Yeah, because then it affects the artists, right? You can't be able to imitate their music too. That's what gets into the whole IP of it and that whole, the legal side.
Yeah. But it was like when it first started, like when people first started.
Okay, this was 2022 you said?
2023.
Oh, 2023.
Yeah.
I definitely missed that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just don't remember. Life's moving fast. So
Yeah. I ain't lie, the song was hard.
Yeah.
And so
that's what's scary too, is like AI can make some dope shit.
Yeah.
That if you didn't know it was AI, you wouldn't have a problem with it. But
bro, they played it in the club. It went up.
Did people think it was like an unreleased song, or did they know it was AI?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I imagine most people knew
it was AI. Yeah.
But I guess that's my perspective.
That's really crazy.
It went up.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
But you spoke about working with United Masters. How'd you get tapped in with them, and like, what's that relationship been for you?
Yeah. Shout out to Digilog. You know,
shout out Digilog. Shout out my gang. You know what I'm saying? Big gang. You right?
Absolutely. Major organization. Super helpful organization and community. Not just organization, it's community.
Fire.
Artists, and also just music professionals.
Okay.
And so they have a conference every year. Went to the conference, United Masters was there, and connected with a guy. And we just kind of stayed in contact. And he was like, we love to work with you. And so we ended up doing a distribution deal, and that's just history.
Yeah, that's fire. Any advice for artists that may be trying to tap in similar ways?
I would say network.
Yeah,
you know,
network.
I think that's the biggest way. Obviously, you got to work hard and do all the prerequisites, but network. You know, especially in a city like New York, there's so much opportunity. So just be outside, shake hands,
events.
And meet people.
You would say, yeah,
and opportunities will just come.
Yeah. Any specific resources you think they should look into for finding places to go? Because I can imagine if you're brand new to it, it could be a bit overwhelming. Like, where do I even start to look? Do I Google music events in New York City? Like, what do you think people should tap into to even just know about opportunities in their, or other cities, Chicago, LA, Miami, etc.?
It's tough.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, before Hourglass, I wasn't doing any music events. I wasn't networking at all.
Okay.
And so that was one of the realizations I had when I was writing it. I was like, when I was talking about process, I wasn't doing the process. So I wasn't out here meeting people. I was just thinking they was going to come because the music was good.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
Go outside, meet people. And if you don't know stuff, try to find somebody who's in it.
Okay.
And then ask them. So we were getting ads for Digilog in Chicago.
Oh, really?
It was their first event in Chicago.
Oh, that's dope.
And then everything just kind of spiraled from there. Met some people, knew some people. Started doing things. Started going to Soho House and everything.
Okay.
And that,
because they got one out in Chicago too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it out there? Nice?
It's cool.
Yeah. The ones here are really nice, so I didn't know the Chicago one.
I mean, it's a really nice facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a really nice facility.
That's cool. No, that's dope, bro. And you also talked about kind of like the marketing of your music. And what are some things that you've learned now that you've been, really focused these last couple of years in terms of how you actually push it out and make sure that an audience can come and find the music that, they're going to love because, it resonates with them.
Yeah. And real quick too, let me say, if you in New York, tap in with Digilog.
Yeah.
That's I would definitely start there.
Absolutely.
But in terms of marketing, for me, we really leaned into brand.
Okay.
So we're trying to do everything around the presidential brand.
Yeah.
And having that as the center of what we're doing. So we really try to look at it as a business. We got the product, which is the music, but what's the brand? Because that's going to be the center of what you're doing in terms of marketing.
Right.
And so there's so much, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a forever journey too, because it's probably it will change as you drop more and you grow and everything. So
exactly. So every time we drop, we're trying something new. What worked last time, what didn't work, why didn't it work? Is it something we should do again?
Yeah.
Should we pivot? So every time you're trying something new, and the thing about it is there's so much. You listed off all the platforms earlier.
It's
Any
crazy.
of them could work.
Yeah.
You just got to keep. It's like. You
have
going
to
at a wall, seeing what sticks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of artists because you have such a phenomenal brand, President Harris, it's in the ad. He was always wearing a suit. It's in the videos. We got the coasters. We got election night. We got inauguration on the way. For somebody who's maybe newer into music, doesn't feel like they have that brand, what is some advice for them in terms of building that and kind of finding the right way to market themselves?
Yeah. I personally feel like you should start with yourself.
Okay.
What are you personally interested in? What's important to you? What's unique about you? Some people do the complete opposite and they'll be like, who do I want to be? And they'll lean into that.
Definitely seen that before.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. And I mean, that might work for people too.
Yeah.
But, I lean into, who I am. Like, when I was in 8th grade, Obama got elected. I wanted to be like Obama.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this was PC, but people was calling me Obama.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it was just
we'll take it. We'll take it. Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just something where it was like, that's a path I could see for myself. Being in politics, being a leader, and all these different things. You know, I always wear the suits for work and whatnot. So it's like, these are things that are just very natural to me.
Yeah.
It was just able to, you know, be presented in this format.
That's fire. And you mentioned working in finance. What have you learned anything in finance that you're applying to music? Because sometimes people think about how they need to kind of drop everything and go solely after what's their passion, but not realizing in the time that you're balancing both, you can actually bring a lot of those skill sets into what you do. So I feel like I've learned a lot in consulting and even the science stuff I did in college, because I actually studied biomedical engineering. Some of those, like just the engineering thought process can go into how you do decision making in life and how you solve problems in general. So I actually feel like you can really use the skill set from that into your passion to eventually grow it and, you know, and dip out. So I'm curious from like the financial perspective and working in finance, how that's maybe helped you, maybe not creating music, but maybe the business around it, even just your professionalism, knowing how to network, meet with people. I feel like there's probably some gems that you've learned from that.
100%. I mean, you said it, right? Definitely the networking, the professionalism, all those different skills, soft skills, you know, all those things that you pick up. It can definitely help in connecting with people because there's a creative side and the business side, like we've been talking about. And I think finance per se, maybe not as much, but like the type of finance I do, it is a business. And so I've learned a lot about how to grow a business from that and is translated directly to music.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Before we get out of here, a big part of Vino Friday, Vino Conversations is putting people onto new music. So I'd love to hear from your perspective some lower key artists that you'd like to shout out across genres. It can be hip hop, R&B, Afrobeat, whatever it is, but definitely just some artists that you'd like to put people onto that you think they might not know about.
Got you. Dang. Who's some people?
Take your time. Because you know they're going to check them out.
Yeah, I'm like, what have I even been listening to? I feel like I listen to a lot of like big name stuff.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of like Christian hip hop lately.
Okay, shout out Lecrae.
Yeah, like Lecrae.
He's got a big podcast too.
Yeah, his podcast is dope.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple
He
times.
got an artist named Hulvey, and his production is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, he's just talking about God. So
that's dope.
I think that he's a good artist. Aaron Cole is another one that is a Christian hip hop artist. People know Raven Lene, so I can't even say Raven Lene.
Nah, you can shout her out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love Raven Lene.
I co-signed that for sure. And she's been out here for a minute too.
Yeah,
she's been putting in the work.
She definitely
She's
has.
very, very tough.
Not the most recent project, but the one before that.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, bro.
Yeah. And the most recent was like, was it fall 24? Something like that.
It was
fall,
recent.
summer.
Yeah. But I know she got a song on that that's going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
But the one before that, I actually saw her perform in New York.
Hey, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really dope. Chi-Town as well, right? She from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she from
That's
Chicago.
tough.
I'll shout out some homies.
Whoever. Listen, we're here to spread love. Shout them out. Shout them out.
Man, shout out all the people that was on my project. SOS, phenomenal singer. So she was on election night. Ro Moore, phenomenal singer. Also my engineer.
Okay.
Incredible.
Wearing a few different hats.
And producer. Like,
come on now.
Incredible.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Shout out, let's see. My guy Davo. Davo Sounds.
Tough.
Incredible artist, singer as well. He has a band called Attack the Sound.
Okay, cool.
So they do, I think they call it like shy pop. So like a
shy
Chicago,
pop.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
what's that? Put me on.
I guess like a Chicago like pop R&B type sound.
Okay.
Yeah,
kind of the way like DC has Go-Go, y'all have like a similar, not like it sounds like Go-Go, but your own like local sound kind of thing in that genre.
I think he created it.
Oh, he created it? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, he would explain a lot better than
me. Yeah, no, I got you. Shy Pop, be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal band.
That's fire.
All of them super talented.
That's dope.
My guy Alvin Cobb, he does jazz.
Hey.
He's a jazz drummer. He has a trio. They released an album.
Oh, fire.
Phenomenal.
I feel like jazz is having a moment right now. I feel like people are going to jazz bars more frequently. I'm hearing more jazz influence in rap. Yeah. Even like aggressive street rap that's talking crazy, using like jazz in the background. I think Complex posted about it. Like, it sounds like it's a little bit of a burgeoning sound that it never left, because I mean, that's like one of the essence of Black culture in America. Comes from jazz, soul, and everything. But I feel like I'm starting to hear it even more now in hip hop. So it's an interesting little moment there.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to see how things shift and change and,
come back,
cycle and everything.
Fashion too.
Yeah.
Everyone dressing like it's the 90s or the 70s, you know what I mean? The big baggy pants, the loose clothing, giant t-shirts. Yeah.
Fashion.
The Y2K.
Sure.
I mean, everything's Y2K outside.
Yeah.
It's just nuts how fast the skinny jeans went away.
For sure. Yeah, and
you said what? Keep them gone. I ain't gonna lie. I was a super skinny G wearer. Sure. That was my whole vibe. Yeah. Absolutely, bro. With the moto, like remember the moto lines, like 2016, Bryson Tiller? That with the dad hat, that was my entire energy, bro. Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. But we put that to bed now.
I wasn't never on that. But I remember like everybody's on that with the jerkin and everything.
Yeah, I was having on Polo in Chicago, right?
You said
Polo?
For sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
Polo. Yeah.
That was an era too. I don't know if that one's come back just yet, but the Polo era was definitely an era.
I mean, I'll still rock a little Polo, but nothing
too crazy. Not head to toe.
I'm not poloed out.
Yeah, with the giant horsemen.
Right.
Or whatever what do they call them? Horsemen? I don't know. What are they even doing? They're hitting the ball with the, I don't know what they call, bro.
Yeah, me neither. I would have said horseman.
Horseman. All right, it's a horseman to me, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I mean.
A lot of dope artists, though. A lot of dope artists.
Shout out all of them. Shout out my guy Monty. He over in North Carolina. Dope rapper.
Monty Booker?
Nah.
Just Monty? Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Fire.
So he's dope. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. Any artists you would like to work with that you have not yet?
A lot of artists. Yeah. I think being collaborative is something I want to get back to. I think a lot of music lately has been more just by myself.
Yeah.
But I want to work with a lot of artists. I think you're going to see that a lot upcoming.
Coming up?
Yeah, for sure.
That's dope.
For sure.
And then any last words of encouragement for anybody, going through something and also chasing their dreams, maybe makes music or whatever they're doing entrepreneurial, just some words of advice, words of inspiration?
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Yeah. That's a fact. Don't give up. Then where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm on all platforms at President Harris.
Yes, sir.
PrezHarris.com. Yeah, tap in with me.
Let's get it. The inauguration dropping. You don't have to announce it now. Play with you.
We gonna see. To be determined.
Listen, you got your president right here, Prez Harris.
Yes, sir.
Episode 16. Appreciate y'all. Peace.